Welcome to the Across the Bar podcast, where we talk about why today's headlines are important for your success at work. My name is Peter Rahbar, and hopefully I'm your first call on legal issues.
And I'm Laura Brounstein. Hopefully your first call for comms and content.
Yeah, I mean, always my first call, so it
Same.
should be
Same.
same for others.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to talk to you about is something someone came and asked me yesterday.
Okay.
Probably because they know I'm the co-host of Across the Bar podcast.
Right.
Words
getting out.
Yeah, exactly. But wait, okay, we'll go over everything we're going to talk about first. Didn't mean to jump the gun. I'm just so excited to actually discuss this with you. I love when people come up to us and ask us things. Okay, we're going to talk about some rules around being a federal furloughed employee, layoffs when you have to be the one to do them. Interesting news from Chipotle. Should you use AI for performance reviews? CEOs stamping their feet because people text in their meetings, and women yet again being pushed out of the workforce for myriad reasons at both ends of the spectrum. Did I get it all, Peter?
Packed agenda. Yes.
Yeah. That's what you talk about.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So I was speaking at something in DC yesterday at the Women's National Democratic Club. And it was men and women there. And two guys came up to me and one of the other speakers, who is more of an organizer than I am, and said, we're furloughed federal workers, and we want to get some of our colleagues together to kind of talk about this experience and what's happening. And we've kind of been discouraged from doing so. Could we get in trouble for gathering? And do you have any advice? And I was kind of like, I'm not a lawyer, even though sometimes I play one on a podcast. But
wise answer.
I thought that was such an interesting question. Can they be kept from gathering?
No. Very simple answer. No. I mean, I would say the best intentions of someone who said that to those employees would be, look, you're not supposed to work. So if you're planning to get together to do work, don't do that.
No, I don't think that's
you're not supposed to do that. Right. So look, I'm a balanced guy, so that could be something, but likely not.
No.
More likely what it was discouraging people from getting together to perhaps do something about this or form some sort of opposition or stand up for their rights. And that's clearly allowed under the law, and that's a protected right.
We're still allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, of course. Even in a furlough situation, of course. Okay. So hopefully those employees are gathering today and talking about whatever they want, but that's certainly something that is allowed.
I thought that was really interesting. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
We are in what day of the government shutdown right now?
20 something? It's too long.
2 long days of the government shutdown.
Too long day of the government.
I mean, what do you think is going to break it?
Who knows at this point? I mean, we just hit I think we're going to hit a major point over the next few days when people are not getting their benefit checks across the country. And
November 1st, when their SNAP doesn't replenish.
Yeah, and people are literally not going to be able to afford food. And I think a lot of people in Congress are going to be hearing from their constituents about that.
And are there, and school backpack programs where schools send kids who get school lunch with backpacks of food for the weekend. A lot of those programs have been hit by DOGE funding cuts.
Yeah. So look, you hope that the parties will get together and figure something out and move on. To the extent that Democrats wanted to make a point, I think they probably made it at this point. So let's go. But it's on both parties. So I just want to be clear about that.
Republicans are in charge of the government that's shut down.
Right. So
I'm obviously laying it squarely in one place, but
yeah. And I'm saying it's on both. So there you go.
Okay, there you go.
So balanced.
Okay, so let's get into this. It is every day we are seeing a different media company frequently, but different white collar worker layoffs every day. I feel like there's a different big company laying off percentages of their workforce.
Yeah, there's big numbers,
Yeah.
and we've seen some big numbers this week. Amazon announcing that it's going to lay off anywhere from 5 to 10% of its white collar workforce. UPS 42,000 layoffs, and everything has to be put in context of how many people. I mean, Amazon employs 1 point over a million people, so
Jesus Christ, really?
yeah, but they're not all white collar. So
Right.
um,
What
so
percentage of their workforce is field versus white collar, I wonder?
I don't know. Good question. Probably a lot more in the warehouses in the field, but a
Yeah.
lot of those folks will be replaced by
Well, and
robots in the future.
a big point though about the corporate layoffs, just because they realize they don't need 1,000 people in this division doesn't mean they don't also think they need 1,000 people in that division. Like the needs are changing. I don't know if it's a net
Yeah,
negative there. I think they're just shifting a lot of these things.
there's a couple things if you really want to pay close attention to these stories,
Hmm.
you'll note things like that. Like you'll note where the layoffs are happening. You'll pay
Hmm.
attention in January when hiring kicks back up.
Yeah.
You'll look at factors like stock price and what's been going on. And so we're coming to the end of the year. Companies typically use layoffs as a tactic to meet balance sheet goals for the
Yeah.
year, to boost stock price, to reset. And then it would not be surprising at all to have like a major hiring initiative in a couple months. And also, companies like Amazon typically, do a certain number of layoffs every year, no matter what, whether things are good or bad, because they believe that that's part of good management to do that. So you can't just look at the number without any context,
Yeah.
and I would
Because
hope that
they're net,
people,
are they net at the end of the day? Are they net more jobs or
yeah,
less jobs?
and over what period of time
Yeah.
exactly. And look, like we've talked before in prior episodes, a lot of this is being blamed on AI, and I don't think that's true. I watched interviews this week with the heads of 3 different AI companies saying there's no company that has integrated AI well enough to lay off
It's not
40,
true.
50,000 people.
Maybe
It's
not
not true.
50,000, but I think they are trying to spin. There are a lot of people being laid off because they don't need 5 coders anymore. They only need 1 coder.
Look, there's some of that going on. Obviously, the economy, there's contrasting views on how well the economy is doing, but no one wants to blame the economy and
What's your view?
potentially. No, I think as I've said before, I think this administration's economic policies, you could argue whether they're good or bad, but at a minimum, you can say they are unpredictable, and in an unpredictable environment, um, it is hard for companies to commit to hiring. It is hard to commit to positions that they may not need, and layoffs are always the first tool used to deal with any budget shortfalls. No one wants to blame the economy and potentially suffer the wrath of the administration, so they're blaming other things.
Hmm.
So let's remember that too. But what we wanted to focus on today
Yes, is
for
when you're in
our
the position of having to do a layoff, which I've
yeah, and
been many times, unfortunately.
right. And so, look, a lot of people are going to be asked to let go of their colleagues. In some cases, ones they're close with or worked
Yeah.
with a long time. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it is one of your most. I've always said it's one of your most important duties as a manager
Yeah.
of people is to give your folks a dignified send off when you have to do it, whatever the context is.
I am also a believer, and this is controversial, in making sure people are not blindsided. Like, I always try to have enough transparency with my team when I have like a big team in a big company. I am not sharing things that I shouldn't be. I'm not like obviously sharing corporate, certainly like public companies. You're not saying anything you shouldn't say. But when you can, saying to people, obviously, there's a lot of changes happening right now. We'll all see what happens. Like, don't let them. You don't want to freak people out, but you also don't want people to be like, in my opinion,
Right. So I'm glad you mentioned
you
that,
guys, my team.
because I'm glad you mentioned that because in a normal single termination context, like someone, let's say, with performance issues, I've always advised it's very important for a person to know not only that they have their performance issues, but also that their job is on the line. And
Yes,
because a termination, when someone's not expecting it at all, that
it's
could
like
go really badly.
violence. Yeah,
Could go really badly,
yeah,
right? Now, in a layoff context, that's much more difficult because you're not just laying off poor performers. Some cases you are laying off good performers because of maybe what they do or how many other people do it, or et
mergers,
cetera,
etc. Yeah,
et cetera. Right. So it's really important in this context to not reveal confidential information before you're supposed
of
to
course.
reveal it. So if you know someone's on the list and you also know they have no idea that they could be on the list, I would not advise giving them a heads up or
No,
doing
not. I
anything
would
to
never do a
soften the blow.
personal heads up, but I do
Right.
think you can kind of point out the obvious to your team.
Right. And in cases like, some of the layoffs we've seen this week, there are public announcements. A lot of companies announce publicly and then do it a week or two later. I think that's kind of cruel, but some announce and do it 4 months later. I think that's
That's terrible.
horrible
But I do
for
think even
morale.
if it's like we're doing layoffs on Friday, even if that's the only thing you can say, if you're allowed, like just so people that morning aren't like. But I've heard so many
Yeah.
bad stories of like, okay, if by 9 a.m. you don't get an email, you're not laid off. And then
Yeah.
there's a misfire.
Well,
Haven't you heard those stories?
yeah.
At
Yeah.
like tech
Of course.
companies, I've heard them.
Of course. And so as a manager who's asked to lay people off, I would say first of all, respect the confidentiality of the information you're
Yep.
given. So if you're given a list in advance, don't
Yes.
share it with anybody, et cetera. Don't treat anyone differently because of it. Also, if you have any questions, you should ask them to HR or to your manager before all this happens. Like, what am I supposed to say to people? You should obviously, and in a best case, you should have a script that you're using,
Oh yeah,
and
your
you should
HR
have
should have your head of people should have done a script that was vetted by head of comms and head of legal.
exactly. So there should be a script. There should be a Q&A. And if there isn't, you should ask for these things.
Yeah.
And if there are other questions specific
And
to
if the
your
company can
team,
provide it, work with a peer in the same position to at least be on the same page with someone else.
well, yes and no. I mean, if there is
Like
something
when
that's
I had
not
to do
there,
layoffs at WeWork, and let's say it was a time where we weren't getting a lot of corporate support.
yeah,
Um, like CEO was wandering around with no shoes on
right.
outside, and they had bigger fish to fry than like the people I was laying off that day. But my friend was also how to lay people off from her team, so we at least came together and was like, okay, let's do it at this time. So they're not telling each other. It's not happening. One group tells the other group. Let's like work together to make it as humane as possible.
Look, in a situation like that where the whole ship is going down, that that might work. Okay, but in a context of a regular corporate layoff where the company is has rules and practices and it's going to continue to exist, that's I would say that's not advisable. What
Okay.
I would suggest is, to the extent you have ideas like that and suggestions, that you run them by HR, legal, get their sign off.
Yes.
Don't just, this
Anything
is
you're
not
gonna
a
do.
time this is not a time to
Anything you're
like,
gonna do. And
you know,
also, here's something. A couple just from having been in the seat of laying off great people. You got to remember it's not about you. Like the fact that this hurts you is not going to help them pay their mortgage next month. So like the person being laid off is where the emotional attention should go. Remember
that's
that.
right. Yeah. So
And what?
the focus should be on that person and their
And
needs
their
and their
needs in that
feelings.
moment and getting them
Right.
through it as quickly and cleanly as possible.
Right. And you also have to remember it's not only important for that person, but it's important for the rest of your employees because they will hear about how you treated their colleagues on the way out, and they
And it
will
will stay with
judge
you.
you based on that. So
Yes.
it's really important. A lot of companies just really miss this point of, let's cut these people off, let's run them out the door, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter, they're not here anymore, and it really does matter to the people who
Listen,
are still
I always
there.
say, if you're lucky, life is long, and you will cross paths with people over and over. So don't fuck them over.
Yeah.
They'll be laying you off in 5 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say something a little gentler, which was, you know, some of the best managers I know and I've worked with have like not a script, but like a practice of how to do this, and they realize the importance.
Yep.
And some of the worst managers I've worked with have tried to shift this responsibility onto other people.
Bad
So
news.
if
Another
you
thing,
can't do it yourself, you shouldn't be in the chair. Sorry.
exactly. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
Spider-Man. Um, okay. One other thing. I think there are certain things that talk to HR about it ahead of time, never go rogue. But there are a couple things like at WeWork that they should have told people who maybe it was their first job and didn't know things. Like, can't erase or take things off this laptop. We're going to be taking it back and we own all the property on this laptop. I know at least one guy who didn't know that, was a kid, first job, forwarded themselves all these confidential documents from their email before the layoff day and got in some trouble.
Yeah.
And honestly, it really wasn't that kid's fault. Like, how was he supposed to know? 22 years old.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you leave a job, whether you're laid
They
off or
own
not,
everything.
you should not take anything with you. And if you have personal
And know that. But I would
documents,
talk to HR and legal about, I think that should be something that is said in the layoff moment because people
well,
don't.
look, yeah, usually when people are laid off, their systems are cut off simultaneously. But I will say, for
Like when you
anytime
know
you're,
the mass layoff is Friday, people are like, oh,
yeah, don't do it. And if you have any personal documents on a work computer, put them in a folder, label it personal, and then discuss it with HR afterwards, and you'll get it. They'll give it to you.
yes, they don't
Um,
want your crap.
yes,
They just don't
exactly.
want their confidential stuff being out there,
Exactly.
obviously.
Good
Okay,
advice, Laura. Wow.
good,
It's
good
almost
advice.
like you're a lawyer.
What?
It's almost like you're a lawyer, almost.
I play one sometimes on a podcast. Okay, so AI for performance reviews.
Do
Um,
you like this?
yes, they're terrible to write. Like,
Yes.
obviously, a
Wow.
human should have to sign each box that they,
Aren't you a writer? I thought you were a writer,
yeah, but not of performance reviews. They're terrible and a time suck.
but they're important to people.
That's what AA slop is for. I don't know, but the, the manager should just have should be able to have an assist from AI. I think it is unrealistic to think they wouldn't. I think the way to do it is have it be like five different short bubbles for written answers, and the manager has to like sign off on each one that this was their words.
Hmm.
What about this? Do you
Wow.
think it's bad all around?
No, I don't think it's bad. And just to provide some context, there was a story this week about how our favorite company, JP Morgan, and others are providing AI tools to basically write performance reviews for managers. And what I thought was interesting, I don't have an opposition to the concept in general, but the article talked about how the AI writes like the first draft and then the manager touches it up. I think it actually should be reverse. I think the
Yes.
manager should make some attempt, like they have for decades,
Mhm.
to write a performance review and then let AI touch it
You know
up
what
and
I
make
would
sure
recommend
there's
to
no
people?
typos and whatever. Um,
This is a great use of voice recording. Like, it's much easier, probably for a lot of people, to kind of talk it out and just do that as a voice memo, upload it, and then work from that. I think that would make it a lot easier for many people. to talk it
Yeah,
through.
sure. And some people need to like type or write things
Yeah,
out to think and organize their thoughts. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, okay? The thing that rubs me the wrong way about it is that a lot of managers, I mean, the great managers will constantly be in touch with their people and let them know how they're doing and sort of where they sit in the world, right? And you're someone who's going to be promoted, maybe you're not, you're definitely not, whatever. The
let's talk
shitty,
about that more next week because I think that is getting harder than ever to be
well,
able to give clear guidance because
I
the
don't think so.
companies are going like this right now.
I don't think so.
They're
I don't
merging,
think so.
they're swerving.
Yeah. So
Allison's are buying them.
the less good manager, maybe the shitty manager, they don't give that kind of feedback. The only feedback they give is like good feedback from time to time. They're afraid to give bad feedback. And then the performance review really becomes the one time a year they could give feedback. And then if we're sort of now degrading that even further into like, well, AI wrote most of this, I don't love that. I think employees are due owed some feedback. I think the managers, it's
I think
part of
it's a
your
terrible
job. You need to
mindset.
find time to do it. And if there's tools to help, fine. But
Yeah, use it as
replace,
a tool.
no.
Use it as a tool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tool to aid, supplement, not replace.
there you go. Important
And don't
distinction.
make typos in a performance review. That is
Yeah,
disrespectful.
yeah. Um, okay, so yet again, we are losing women out of the workforce. They are leaking out of the top, basically. What was this article that you read?
Yeah, and it's an analysis of job data over the past 2 years, and basically there's two trends happening with the pushback to the office and also the end of DEI. We've talked a lot on this podcast about how it's disproportionately impacting women, and the numbers of women in the workforce are decreasing, and the pay equity gap is increasing
Yes, we
after
talked about that
years
last
of
week.
gains.
Yeah,
So, you know, there was a big push to end DEI and bring in um, merit, but obviously that hasn't. And my anecdotal experience with it, I've seen a number of really talented female executives all of a sudden be pressured to leave
really.
companies in the last few months, more so than men.
And why
And
do you think, what about their femaleness is rubbing people the wrong way? Like, is it they have childcare, they just want one of their buddies in there? Like, what do you think is like push in past the headline
I don't know.
trend?
I mean, that's a very long discussion. But I think there are women being pushed out. There are women who are opting out because going into the office is a
Because they don't want
burden
a
in their
996.
yeah. There's a burden there. Well, whether it's childcare or other issues, that are difficult, and if companies are refusing to make accommodations on return to office, then and the decision is, well, you could quit. Some people are saying, yeah, I'm going to quit. And so I've talked to clients who've made that choice, and their hope is like, we'll spend some time and we'll figure something else out, and they will, because they're talented, and it's a loss for companies who are not willing to be flexible on their policies.
Yeah. Um, that's going to be a loss for any
But
company that makes that decision.
yeah, and look, with respect to gender pay gap, et cetera, like the federal government's just not enforcing that stuff anymore, and the reporting
Yeah. They're
requirements are
not,
gone, the
don't,
enforcement's gone,
yeah.
and so there's no check on that. There's no accountability, and companies are like, okay, we could do what we want.
Yeah.
Back to that. That's not what they're focused on.
Listen, I don't want women obviously to get pushed out of the workforce, but entrepreneurs have always been people who had to solve for a system that wasn't working for them. And I think it's probably better. Like, I know so many women who have built a happier and not less lucrative life when they went out on their own. I think you
Yeah,
need experience to be able to do it well, but there's a reason women are opting out of the system.
yeah. Look, I mean, it's unfortunate, and I see examples of it every day in my practice, and it's a very real problem.
And it's not just childcare. Elder care is a huge issue for the current millennial and Gen X workforce.
Right, right.
They're getting sandwiched. All right, my favorite topic:
Okay.
CEOs stamping their little baby CEO feet that people
Oh
text
yeah.
in meetings. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was kind of funny that it was a story this week. The CEO of Airbnb, Brian Chesky, Jamie Dimon, others complaining about people having phones out and iPads out
Listen, people
in
got used to
meetings with
working
them.
from home where I could be texting and you would have no idea. And then they're back in the office, they still do it.
Yeah, I don't know why it was a story in the media. If this bothers you, make a rule. I mean, if you're an
But they're
executive,
also doing it themselves the whole meeting. That's what's so absurd
oh, I
about
don't
it.
know. Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Well,
had plenty of meetings where the CEO is the one doing most of the gossip on the
yeah.
signal.
But look, if you're the CEO and you like your meetings run a certain way, you should make that clear to everybody.
Also,
There's
have more interesting fucking meetings. Maybe people won't text me. I don't know. I think that just feels like little baby CEOs like stamping their feet.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, look, if you're going to be in the office and you're going to be in meetings with people, you might as well pay attention, and you might as well, if you're a boss, be cognizant. Well, if people are texting during meetings, what is that about? Is it because they're dumb and texting in front of me, or is it because the meeting wasn't really necessary? So, as an executive, you need to think about those things, and if it's because your people are pulled in 20 different directions, then you need to tell them, I understand that, but while you're here, I need you to focus on what
Also, people,
we're talking about.
remember your Slack is company property also. So when you are slacking your work bestie during a meeting to say, how dumb is she? You're dumb.
By the way, don't do that.
I'm saying don't do that. I've seen several careers hit brick walls because of doing someone did
Yeah,
doing something like that.
not we
Also,
are not
turn off
endorsing.
your notification. I have certainly I've certainly led meetings where you hear a bing and then you see one person be like, and you see another person be
Whoops.
like, get it together. If you're gonna text in meetings, be cool. Also, if you are leading the meeting, this is me. Say you're leading the meeting and you know like Love is Blind finale was last night. I would be like, listen, people, I don't watch Love is Blind, but I know how important this is. Feel free to use the meeting wide chat or get it out of your system now if you want to talk about Love is Blind. And now let's focus on the meeting. Like, acknowledge that people might be involved in chattering about something and then focus.
Yeah, look, if you're going to have a meeting, I think meetings in 2025 have a little different significance. I mean, you're like bringing people into the office, like the meetings better be for a good reason.
Yeah, they didn't make up the
There's going to
phrase.
be
Could have been an
different
email. Okay.
expectations,
Peter,
but
are
yeah,
you going to dress up for Halloween?
yes, of
What are you
course.
going to dress up as?
That cannot be revealed before
Is
Halloween.
it a couple
Halloween.
costume?
It most likely will be, yes.
I can't wait to see it. I
Yeah.
don't think I have anything to dress up for. I told you my great idea for a costume, didn't I?
No.
You know, in Canceled, Taylor Swift
Yeah.
song, there is one line that says, I liked my friends cloaked in Gucci and in scandal. And
Okay.
I was going to wear like a Gucci scarf as a top and then like put scandal on something
Oh, yeah.
and cloaked in Gucci and in scandal. I thought that'd be really funny.
Oh,
Not
great.
you.
Yeah, you should
Are you
do it
going to a
anyway.
new party? What are you doing?
We're going to two parties.
Look at you. You're like,
Yeah. Halloween's like my Super Bowl, basically. You
oh, are
know,
you a big Halloween guy?
big Halloween guy. My friends are going to crack up when they hear that line, but it's true. I think it's a great holiday. In fact, let's just
Any
fast forward.
listeners who have any hilarious pictures of Peter from Halloween's past
Oh,
that they want to send
yeah.
me?
They're publicly
Let's do
available.
it.
They're publicly available. Um,
Also,
yeah.
people, this is a good chance to just also say, think about the appropriateness of your costume. Just because we are living in a MAGA world right now, do not dress up as something that a picture of it in 5 years would be an embarrassment to you. Please, for the future of your career, don't do it.
Yeah. All right. Heroes and zeros.
Yes.
What do you got?
You go zero. What's your first zero?
Well, my zero is going to be, we already mentioned it, but I would have to say the government shutdown would be my zero. And I think it's just time for everyone to come together. I mean, people are really going to suffer, and people have suffered, and, government workers should be treated with more respect and dignity. So let's hope that the parties will get together and figure this out. And the administration, now that it's back from Asia, can sit down and prioritize this and get it done.
Well, but there's a ballroom to focus on. Are your priorities in
Oh
the right
man, we
place?
were both in DC during the past week. I saw the destruction. I'm sure you saw it too.
Yeah,
It's pretty wild.
yeah.
Um,
Like,
who's your zero, or what's your zero?
my zero is what's happening with all these huge carriers coming to the Caribbean. Like,
Oh,
why are we bringing so much military to the Caribbean right now with nobody talking about it? Is that worrying you? Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What?
I
Who
mean,
are
we
these
we could
people?
do like a whole segment on the
Like,
legality of blowing up
who are
boats
these people in
without.
these boats they keep killing? We don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know.
exactly,
This is
exactly.
fucked up. This is, I don't know.
Someone said
Obviously,
it's
I am not a military expert or
yeah.
anything, but
We'd
what's
have to bring on the across the bar military analyst to
who's
weigh
that?
in on that. We could bring some.
Definitely.
All
Um,
right, who's your hero?
okay. I think one of life's best hacks is how affordable Uber is for long hauls. When you want to go 10 blocks in traffic, Uber is a terrible deal. You're
Hmm.
spending so much money for like almost nothing. But when you're going a long haul, both Uber and Lyft, phenomenal.
What do
Last
you?
night,
How would you define a long haul?
so I took an Uber. You're going to get ready for this, from DC to New York last night.
What?
Yes. Um,
Wow.
so because I assume because the government shut down, I didn't research it, but there were no direct trains to New York after like 8 o'clock last night. And
Hmm.
I was speaking at an event that ended at 8 o'clock. And then I was supposed to have dinner with the people after. And so I was like, oh, I guess I have to stay over. But I didn't really want to. I had a lot of work this morning, some meetings. And I was like, what do I do here? Like,
So
there's
how
no
much did
way
it
for me to
cost?
stay over. $368,
Oh,
which is much less than a hotel room plus a train ticket would have been,
yes. Right.
plus an
Oh,
Uber from on either side to get to the train station.
wow.
I actually saved money. I had the most lovely Uber driver, um, who was perfectly happy to get to come to New York. He was amazing.
Wow.
And from 11 to 2, I was just in this Uber. I kind of slept. I read. I caught up on some reading. It was one of the honest but best calls. I was so happy when I was like 2:30. I was like, Mom,
Wow.
isn't that funny?
Okay. Good one. Yeah.
But also, isn't that interesting that there were no trains or planes last night with Congress
Yeah.
not in
Yeah.
session?
I've seen pictures from the DC airports of like empty gates and all that. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Union Station did seem more empty, I will say.
Yeah. I mean, I was in DC last weekend. It's pretty lively, but I only go to the hot spots.
Oh yeah, the Ned was
So
hopping.
that's
The Ned
probably
was
why.
hopping.
um, so my hero is new. Yours was DC focused, or how to get from DC to New York. Mine is New York focused. This weekend is Halloween and the New York City Marathon. So
Oh, it's
it's going
this
to
weekend. I
be,
thought it was next weekend somehow.
yeah. So it's going to be, marathon weekends are like one of the best weekends in to be in New York, like the spirit
Hot
and the
take.
togetherness and what.
Hate. My one of my biggest hot takes is I think parades and marathons are painful.
Right.
I
Well,
hate marathon weekend.
thanks
People
for
throwing
thanks
oranges in
for
the street. I mean,
thanks for interrupting and ruining my hero moment.
I'm sorry. You're right.
I hate parades too, but the marathon is great. And I
Have you
think
run
in
the
a time,
marathon?
no way, no way. I'm not a runner, but I know a lot of people running it this year. Good luck to them.
Yes.
And go out, support, be a part of New York. It's a good time to be together, especially when everyone's so damn fractured these days. You know,
Yeah.
it's good,
And
good,
heading
like,
into the mayoral, you're right. It's a good time
yeah,
for people to come together.
yeah, exactly.
Johnny's lead is tightening.
I was at an event with Mayor Bloomberg the other night, and I just like literally wanted to just pull him back into City Hall and be like, just go there, you
Oh,
know,
there.
like, please.
You could totally take him. He's a small man.
I mean, he's just so impressive. And when you think about everything he did for New York post 9/11, and I mean, it's just so incredible. And then you think about the last like 20 years of mayors we've had, or the last, 15 years of mayors we've had, and how they've ineffective they've been. It's really striking.
Yes, it is.
So, anyway,
It is.
on that note, go out, have fun, cheer
Have
on
fun.
runners, make a
Halloween.
funny sign,
I can't
you
wait to see
know,
your costume, Peter.
dress up.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Across the Bar. We'll talk to you
Hey,
next
Raybar.
week.
Yes.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.